Good morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Thursday, June 12, 2014. It's a very, very dangerous storm in the Pacific off the coast of Mexico. Hurricane Cristina has now become a Category 4 storm. It had been upgraded to a Category 3 storm earlier this morning, then about 90 minutes later was quickly upgraded to a 4. This means it has wind strengths in excess of 145 miles per hour. The U.S. National Hurricane Center says that some additional strengthening is expected later today before the storm begins to weaken. So it's possible it could reach a Category 5. Fortunately, it's located about 250 miles southwest of Manzanillo, Mexico, and it's heading in a northwesterly direction further out to sea. I'm sure warnings have been posted to mariners in the area. This is not something you would want to run into, no matter the size of your ship. The crisis in Iraq seems to be worsening by the minute. There's no wonder that countries that have disparate ethnic groups and different cultural groups are oftentimes held together by dictators. Joseph Stalin in the old Russia, Soviet Union comes to mind. Tito in what was then called Yugoslavia comes to mind. And of course in Iraq, Saddam Hussein, holding together Shia, Sunni, and Kurds. No more. With a democratically elected government and restraints placed upon the actions that can be taken at the top, al-Qaeda militants have begun to take cities one by one, including the oil sections of the country, and are now within an hour's march of Baghdad and are threatening today to march into the city. Meanwhile, in the northern part of the country, the Kurds have taken over the city of Kirkuk after the Iraqi armed forces simply left. They abandoned their posts. So now what's happening is that the Prime Minister, al-Maliki, is petitioning the American government for airstrikes on the al-Qaeda militants. Thus far, the White House has refused to do that and may, in fact, simply only provide drone flights. So it does not seem to be a good situation there. The price of oil is spiking right now in international markets. Yesterday, Airbus received a big cancellation from Emirates airline. Emirates canceled 70 long-haul A350 planes. This meant the cancellation order was about $16 billion that was going to come off of Airbus's book. And of course, this trickled down to affect Rolls-Royce, which made the engines for the planes. So they too got hit with about a $4.3 billion subtraction from their books. The natural competitor to the A350 would be the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. China and Japan are blaming each other today for a close encounter between their military jets over the East China Sea and that continuing row over the disputed islands. The Chinese are saying that two Japanese F-15 fighters got within 100 feet of a Chinese patrol plane. The Japanese are saying that the Chinese criticism is irrelevant and they stick by their story, which were that two Chinese Sukhoi 27 fighters came close to two Japanese fighters. FM Global, the American insurance firm up in Johnstown, Rhode Island, one of the most highly respected insurers in the world today, released a Global Resilience Index. This is something that studies the business interruption potential as a result of floods or natural events that could, in fact, disrupt economies and supply chains. They say that Norway, Switzerland, and Canada top the list of nations most resilient to supply chain disruption. They say that the countries at the bottom of the list are Kyrgyzstan, Venezuela, and the Dominican Republic. They said that the United States and China are each divided into three separate regions because of the geographic spread of the countries. They say all three regions of the United States rank in the top 25 as being most resilient to disruption, and the Chinese regions rank 61, 66, and 75 respectively. The weakest group in the 75th includes Shanghai, which ranks particularly low as a result of poor risk quality due to acute natural hazards. Here's an interesting story. 4 days after President Kennedy was inaugurated on January 24, 1961, a B-52 American bomber broke in half in the skies over North Carolina. Apparently what happened is after the wing broke off, two very, very strong nuclear weapons, hydrogen bombs, each about 100 times the size and strength of the ones dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, fell to the ground. The first one fell with a parachute. Fortunately, the wires that connected the fuse to the detonating box had been yanked off and disconnected. The other one fell without a parachute and plummeted directly into the ground. And that one, fortunately, was damaged in the collision with the ground and as a result did not go off. At the time, Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara said by the slightest margin of chance, literally, the failure of two wires to cross, a nuclear explosion was averted. Unbelievable. What's even more unbelievable today is that former President George H. Bush, the first George Bush, is 90 years old today. He has been confined to a wheelchair because of a muscle condition, but he's not letting that stop him from keeping a vow he made 5 years ago to jump from an aircraft on his 90th birthday. He tweeted earlier today, "It's a wonderful day in Maine. In fact, nice enough for a parachute jump." He's going to jump from a helicopter with a retired member of the Army's parachute team, the Golden Knights. The announcement was kept secret until the last minute, partly to give Bush himself the option of bagging it. The forecast in Maine today calls for clouds and scattered showers. Bush's spokesman said that the former president likes both a surprise and an adrenaline rush. God bless him. Whatever you thought of his politics, 90 years old and jumping out of a helicopter in a tandem jump, fortunately, that's really something. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you if there's anything that's important. If not, we'll see you tomorrow, and thank you for watching.